Welcome, everybody, to episode 124 of the Essential Wrestling Podcast. Thanks for joining us, ladies and gentlemen. I'm John DeConte, sitting in for our usual host of misinformation, Karl. And we're here to take you through the week that was and preview an upcoming week of wrestling action, powered as always by the Eastern Observer. Taste that power. Here along with me, staying up late from across the pond, is our expert on all things UK and soon to be all of Europe, Gary Mehaffy. Gary, how are things overseas tonight?
I'm good. I'm awake, so things are okay this week. I'm actually here. No, things are good, doing well. We get off school this weekend for a week, so roll on 2 o'clock on Friday.
Very nice. And also along with us, our NXT guru.
And number 4, John Smith.
John Smith, how are you, sir?
Doing swell. I can't believe my Jets are in a 4-game winning streak. I'll just keep talking about the Jets until they start to lose because it's the only time I've been able to brag in the past, 10 years.
I'm a Bears fan, so I understand what it's like when you get that moment in the sun. So, all right. On tonight's show, Impact has booked their next world title bout and unveiled a tournament in the X Division. We had a surprise return on Raw. Jey Uso defies the Tribal Chief, in his absence, of course, on SmackDown. We'll main event the show with the results of a big week of championship matches in AEW, some with unfortunate results. But we kick things off with a new champion being crowned and all the goings-on during NXT's premium live event from this past Saturday, Halloween Havoc. And, of course, our picks and all things are sponsored by Pro Wrestling Pick'em. And I should have had the picture ready, but boom. Pro Wrestling Pick'em.com. Play against your friends, play against the universe. And fellas, she'll like it too. Here are, if I can find it because I'm slow on this, here are the totals for the Raw roll-ups heading into the week. We definitely had some this week, so we'll see how that all shakes out at the end. But let's jump into, let me get the important things back up there. There's the nameplates. I'm going to do that about 72 times today. Let's kick things off, like I said, with Halloween Havoc. And let's go right to the main event and not mess around. John Smith, the NXT Championship was on the line. How did that work out?
There was quite the brutal match we got between these three. Ilya Dragunov, JD Don't Google Me, and our champion Braun Breaker. I wouldn't have been surprised if any of these three came out with the championship. And after the way the match went, they did such a great job of, doing, stuff with three men, getting involved, all fighting each other. It wasn't like just one guy is out of the ring while the other two go at it. Then one of them gets knocked out and, just switch roles kind of thing. I mean, at one point, Braun was out on the outside for a little while and let JD and Ilya go at it for a while. But, other than that, it was just like a greatly booked and, done match. And at one point, it looked like Ilya was about to pin Braun, and JD got in at the last possible second to stop the ref's hand from hitting the mat, not even break up the pinfall. I was like, I can't believe he's winning this match right now. They actually got me on that one. But, by the end of the match, it was just too much for JD. And when he was on the outside and Braun hit the spear on Ilya on the inside, JD just couldn't get back into the ring in time to break it up. And Braun retains yet again. And he's been champ for almost a year now, it seems.
Yeah, it is crazy. And I would be remiss if I forgot to put this up there. What's up, boss man? We miss you. Come on back.
And also, what was up with the Austin Theory tease last Tuesday? I lost 10 points because of him, because I picked the freaking cash in.
Because it made so much sense that it wasn't even mentioned on the event. It just that pissed me off too, because I almost went for the 10 points as well. So we didn't have a title change there. We had a women's title match as well. It started off kind of odd because early on in the show, we saw one of those digital exclusives where Alba Fire invited Mandy to an undisclosed location. And for some reason, she went. And that didn't work out too well for her. So she got basically dragged back as just a limp carcass in the back of her own SUV. But then we got to the match, Gary. And how did that turn out?
It was good. It was fun, actually. In the haunted house, I almost expected the New Day and the Undertaker to turn up, and they had to choose to decide where they were going to go from that Netflix special.
That would have been some good stuff.
But yeah, it was good. But you ended up when they got back to fight, there was one surprising aspect to it, which was right at the end. But you had Mandy Rose putting Alba Fire into the commentary table and fighting back, and Alba Fire dropping Rose face first to try and do some damage onto the canvas. Mandy had a spine buster, Fire had a swanton bomb, and all of a sudden, despite being dead and mauled by zombies, Jessie Jane and Gigi Dolan appeared again, pulled the ref out of the ring, and he was taken out. Rose went for a sort of big knees and missed. Fire had a gory bomb with nobody to count. They attacked her and ultimately allowed, when she got back in, they got her on the outside. And when she got back in, Mandy Rose then picked up the win and retained the title.
It's amazing. I'd love to know what Gigi and JC offered their Uber driver to get them back there that quick, because it took Mandy like Alba 4 segments to get back there in Mandy's SUV, and she was hauling ass when she pulled into the lot. And then 12 minutes into the match later, Gigi and JC, who were left for dead in a haunted house, make their way back. God bless those ladies. They know how to get stuff done. We had Apollo Crews and Grayson Waller in a casket match that we found out, I think, in the pre-show that Chucky, good call, John Smith, got involved again. He spun the wheel for them for the casket match. It was a little bit of an odd match. Like, Waller is an up-and-coming guy. I enjoy him in the ring. I think he gets better, as he goes along. And we know Crews can go. The Halloween aspect of this could have been just Cruz's visions. I think I would have preferred to see these two just have a regular match. Cruz would get smashed through the lid of the coffin, and somehow that didn't end it because he was hit, but the coffin lid wasn't closed on him. It was in splinters underneath him. Lights went out. When they came back up, he was no longer in the coffin. He was leading the Druids back out with another much larger coffin. And eventually he would use that powerful one-arm spine buster to send Waller into the casket, close the lid, and he got the win. That takes care of Cruz and Waller.
Yeah, it has to be said, just before we go, like, when they came out at first with the first coffin, I looked at it and was like, that's like something you would make in, like, I'll use an American phrase, like if you were doing like an elementary school sort of, you've gone home and mum's like, oh no, we need to make something for school quick, because they brought it out and I thought, that's the crappiest looking coffin I've seen, like, and then obviously there was a reason for it being made out of balsa wood or whatever, like.
Yeah, it looked like they took it off somebody's lawn in Florida that had, decorated for Halloween a little early.
I thought they got it from Daly's place.
Yeah, the one person who would have fit in there would have been Darby Allin. So. We also had an ambulance match, John Smith. What'd you think of that one?
Yeah, Kemp versus Julius Creed with Brutus Creed's career or NXT career on the line. Yes. Kemp came out first, and when Creed came out, he came out with 2 pumpkins, and he launched them at Kemp, and then jumped off the top rope and kicked the chair like a Van Daminator into Kemp's face.
Nice.
Yeah. So we started real quick. We went back and forth between the ambulance and then back to the ring, ambulance, back to the ring. Crutches got involved where they were hitting each other with crutches at the same time. At one point, Kemp threw Creed in there, and was about to slam the door, and Creed's hands were the only thing sticking out. His fingers are like the tops of his hands. It was, and he did it like 4 times. And I was looking real close. There was no padding, it seemed like.
I got to know how they gimmicked that door.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know what the heck. But, the Creed ends up hitting his falling clothesline to the seated opponent through a chair, and then carries Kemp all the way back to the ambulance for like the 6th time that they got to the ambulance, and throws him in, not even a fight to try to get out, closes the door, and Brutus keeps his job.
Yeah, and he that last time, because both guys had been in the ambulance at one point or another, but they were right near the end, and they either kicked out or, like you said, Julius got his hands up there. That I still don't know how he doesn't look like an offensive lineman from the 1970s. With the way they slammed that door on his hands. But yeah, when he brought him back there the last time, he chucked him, and he almost hit the front seats. He chucked him that thing. So that is that one. We also had a Weapons Wild match between Roxanne Perez and Cora Jade. This was the exploding point of a friendship that this got so hardcore they blocked each other on their cell phones. And it was Weapons Wild. They went through the crowd, the kendo sticks, there were chairs, there were garbage cans. At one point, Cora heads up through the crowd to that little riser that's up there at the end of the audience seating, and Roxy chases her right up there. And this is where they just threw out the whole game plan. Like, they were supposed to be up there, they were supposed to fight a little bit, and obviously they were supposed to take the big bump. They got up there, they removed a section of the railing, and then just kind of like hugged each other and jumped off. Like, I think it was maybe supposed to be a Russian leg sweep that took them off, because they kind of went backs first and side by side, but there was no effort into the technique. They just kind of gave each other a hug, went to the floor. They wound up back in the ring with the half dozen chairs, and eventually Roxy hit Pop Rocks into the chair and got the 1-2-3 to beat Cora Jade. And now their friendship is, officially put to rest, and hopefully we can move on from this. Although they're both, I don't think either one of them is necessarily going up to the main roster, so who knows whether or not they'll circle back around to one another. So we didn't get title changes in the women's division or in the men's division, but there was no two ways about it. We were going to crown a new champion in a North American Championship ladder match. Gary, tell us how that one worked out.
Well, as we said last week, it's like one of these men is not like the others. As they say, there was 4 high flyers and going a million mile an hour, and then there was Von Wagner. As I said to you before we started, John, this scared the life out of me when I watched it, because they were going so quick. I thought somebody is going to get absolutely annihilated in this. And there were lots of big moves that you'd expect. You had Von Wagner powerbombing Nathan Fraser onto a ladder. You had Carmelo Hayes trying to climb up the ladder to get the belt, but Nathan Fraser had a missile drop kick onto it. You had Hayes hitting a leg drop onto Oro Mensah on the ladder, and a Spanish fly to Nathan Fraser on the ladder. And eventually what we got was Nathan Fraser put Von Wagner through the ladder on the outside with a frog splash, which, as we said, the funniest thing about it was, it nearly wasn't funny, when Von Wagner was trying to set the ladder up and almost took the head off somebody sitting in the audience because he moved it back too far. But then once Von Wagner was kind of squashed down in between the perspex and the barricade by Nathan Fraser and Oro Mensah, ended up with eventually Carmelo Hayes and I was going to say Nathan Lee and Wesley in the ring. Lee connected with double knees on the ladder to Carmelo Hayes and left Wesley available to climb the ladder, take the title, and win it. And they talked about him having a really bad year and losing his friend and stuff. And this is the make good, the good feeling moment of the night.
Absolutely, yeah. This was we'd been waiting for it to happen. Kind of Al put it in our heads months ago, and there were multiple opportunities for it to happen, and it just didn't. we finally got it done. There was a memeable picture of him getting a big hug from HBK backstage, and this was a proper culmination to a nice long storyline, and it was a hell of a match with plenty of high spots. And it seems like no one got really hurt. I'm sure nobody came out of that feeling great, but no one got killed, so that's a big plus. Fast forward to this week, and we're calling it Tag Title Tuesday because I think, with the exception of one other match, yes, we have Shotzi and Lash Legend. That came out of Halloween Havoc. They took shots at each other. They're gonna get at it this week. John Smith, our NXT guru, where do you see this one going? Is Shotzi down there just to put over the youngster, or is Lash Legend gonna get shut up?
I gotta think that Lash Legend's gonna come away with this somehow. Like, what's the point of just having her lay down to randomly to a main roster girl? They got to be going somewhere with this. So maybe somebody gets involved. Maybe Lash has a new friend we don't know about. I don't know.
Could be. All right, Gary, what do you think? We got Lash Legend and Shotzi.
Yeah, I'm sort of the same. It's like I kind of hope that Shotzi wins because I'm not the world's biggest Lash Legend fan, as you know. But I could see maybe somebody from SmackDown coming down and interfering, or as John said, maybe Lash Legend has somebody comes out. And I do think it's the sort of thing they want is to give her a little bit of time with somebody who's a bit better. So again, I would agree, probably Lash Legend to take it.
Yeah, I agree with you, gentlemen. I think Shotzi's just there to help out. Last week was the whole invasion of the main roster, so she was there. The fact that she's sticking around, good for her. She's going to hopefully help out one of the youngsters, but I don't expect her to get a win here. The Schism is set to unveil their red hoodie guy that's been following them around. I don't know if that's going to wind up being someone we know or someone whose name we'll know a few weeks from now, but look forward to that tonight.
I think it's going to end up being. So I think it's going to end up being a woman.
Oh, that would be an interesting.
I think it's going to be a woman. I was kind of going, ooh, Isla Dawn. I don't know, but I just see it being a woman as a different aspect to it. But
that would be a lot of fun. John Smith, do you have any ideas as to who it might be, or
who what might be? I'm sorry.
So the Schism has been, it's the dyad. It's the
the person with the mask.
They've had this person kind of doing their bidding, handing out their stupid smiley face buttons and whatnot in a red hoodie. Not to be confused with the idiots in the yellow hoodies on Impact. We'll get to them later. So this week we're set to find out who this fourth member is. Any ideas? Any inklings? Any hopes?
No, I can't really think of anyone. Maybe they're introducing somebody new, unless the only person that's been got, I guess, is Tiffany Stratton, but I don't think she would fit in with that situation at all, unless she went all like weirdo, like Alexa Bliss did with the Fiend. But
yeah,
I don't see that. So
that would definitely be a repackaging for her.
Yeah, so I mean, unless it's Wendy Chu coming about as Mei Ying or. I'm sure Gary would be happy about that. No more sleepy time.
That's true.
They haven't done enough weird stuff with her already, so why not, right?
Yeah.
So moving along, as mentioned earlier, it is Tag Title Tuesday, and that is because Katana Chance and Kaden Carter are going to defend the women's tag titles against the team of Nikita Lyons and Zoe Stark. Gary, how do you see this one working out? Do we get new women's tag champs?
No, I think there's going to end up being a split. I think you're going to see Nikita Lyons go heel on Zoe Stark.
Sorry, I'm there for a second. Very interesting. John Smith, how do you see?
I don't know. They kind of been like up each other's rear ends in these interviews. Oh, I admire you. No, I admire you. Yeah, I don't think they're going to win the titles. No, I don't know about that heel turn thing. I wasn't even thinking about that. So it's totally possible.
Yeah. Nikita Lyons seems like she would be a more natural heel, but she gets so much love from the crowd. I think they've been forced to keep her face. I think you know what? It's not for points. I'm going to say we do get new champs now because I think they're also kind of itching to put gold on either one of them. So then you can do it this way and then perhaps get a heel turn out of Nikita there and have them break up and pass them along to the next set of ladies. Okay, so that's the women's tag titles. We're also going to get a tasty treat in the men's tag division. Pretty Deadly will be defending against Idris Anafe, Malik Blade. John Smith, how do you see this one turning out?
Idris and Anafe are not ready. That's the only way I see it. I mean, titles can change hands, especially the tag titles on Tuesday nights, but I don't see it happening this time.
Gary?
Yeah, I'm the same. I think the Dandy Highwaymen are there to kind of for like the other pair. They'll give them a good match that'll help them going in against better people, but I think that Pretty Deadly will keep them.
Yeah, I agree with both of you gentlemen. I think this is kind of the, and I think I've used this reference before, but I think this is kind of the Io Sky Shotzi moment. Like, let's see if these two can really hang, and here's some real pros to try and drag a great match at them, because it's not like Anafe and Blade have been bad, but let's see if we can get a really good match out of them. But I think in the end, Pretty Deadly continue to be your NXT Tag Team Champions. Okay.
And they've done that before in NXT. I mean, that's what they did with Santos Escobar and Jordan Devlin. They made to see if Santos was any good and put him in with a good wrestler. No.
Just never going to bury that hatchet, are you?
No.
All right, let's roll it back even further than Saturday. Let's go back to SmackDown last Friday. We started the show with the Bloodline and kind of ended with the Bloodline. Now, during the Brawling Brutes entrance, not sure how this is going to play into things. We did get a little bit of that interference from Bray Wyatt where, the screen went wacky for a little while. And then there was no mention of it later when Bray cut a promo where he said, I've got issues and my issues make me violent, and still don't know where he's going. Does he have a split personality? Is he just insane like he's always been? Who knows? But we started off the show with Solo Sikoa and Sheamus. And I believe, Gary, you're going to tell us all about this one.
Yeah, my computer's just... Oh, there it's back. I nearly lost it there. Yeah, I mean, it was again... Sheamus, I don't think has ever been as over in his life as he is at the minute. But he'd gone for a submission early on, and Solo got some strikes back, and they just started to beat each other properly, like good heavy hitting in the middle of the ring. Sikoa got a headbutt in, but he went down from a lariat or a clothesline from Sheamus. Then Sheamus hit the white noise and was in near fall, but then he got that avalanche sumo drop off the ropes for a 2 count. Sheamus got him in the ropes, eventually got the beats of the Boron and was hitting him, missed the Brogue kick. Sami Zayn distracted the ref and a bit of a brawl broke out between the Brutes and the Usos. Sheamus dived the outside and took them out, but then when he got into the ring, Solo Sikoa got him and hit the spinning solo and beat Sheamus on Fight Night.
Yes, indeed. And then now, here's the part that like you said, Sheamus has pretty much never been this over, especially not in terms of. I mean, he's not acting like a face, but he's getting love like a face. So he's as over as he's ever been, and it kind of felt like they were playing him off TV for a little while because there was a beat
with the arm.
They broke his arm or Pillmanized him up against the steps and whatnot. So you wonder.
I wondered if he was a little bit injured. I know he was selling the shoulder during it and rubbing his shoulder, and then afterwards when they did that, so I wondered whether he has a little bit maybe like a nerve damage or something just going on at the minute that he needs kind of checked out. And then, as you say, this was their way to write him out for a bit. But.
Absolutely, yeah. So we'll see whether or not we see our pal Sheamus, or if the Brutes carry the weight for Fight Night for a little while here. So the Bloodline shortly thereafter is backstage and they're celebrating. And they've done their job for the evening. Sammy is kind of de facto in charge, and he says, all right, we're done for the night. Let's head on out of here. Jay says, no, we're on a roll now. We've taken out Sheamus, and let's roll this forward. Let's go. Let's wait around for Logan Paul, and let's do some of the dirty work of the tribal chief. And Sammy says, no, we have our orders. We're to stay away from Logan Paul. He does. Roman Reigns does not want us to engage with him at all. Jay says, yeah, we'll see. And of course, I guess we all could probably pretty much figure that out, that our technical main event, it wasn't our main event match. Our main event segment was Logan Paul coming out, talking, and nobody really cares. And then Jey Uso attacked him. Sammy came out and reminded him, we're not supposed to be messing with him. Let's see. Okay, you've hit him once. Let's leave it at that. Jay does not want to hear anything from Sammy, even if it originally is coming from Roman. So he goes back at him again. And that's where Logan lands that one lucky punch that they're trying to sell us. He's got a snowball's chance in hell to land in Riyadh. And Jay winds up ending the evening on his back, seeing little birds dance around his head because Logan Paul has, knocked him to F out. So that's our Bloodline segment. They weave that in and out of the show. But the big match of the night was the Women's Tag Team Championship. We had Damage Control defending against Raquel and Shotzi. John Smith had this one turn out.
Yeah, it's a sentence I don't think anybody's ever said. The big match of the night was the Women's Tag Team Champion.
Yeah, that's what
but it was.
Goes to tell you how white hot exciting SmackDown was last week, right?
Yeah, but you know what? These four can go.
Yeah,
we got four straight out of NXT. This time last year, all four of them were in NXT. Pretty good match to start. They didn't give them that much time, but then when everything started breaking down at the end, that's when they really shined. Raquel went up for a superplex on EO. Then all of a sudden, Dakota tries to powerbomb her off of it. Then in comes flying Shotzi. Then EO kicks her off, kicks Raquel off, and then misses her splash or whatever it is. And ultimately, Raquel and Dakota end up spilling to the outside right past Bailey, which then in turn has Bailey up on the apron yelling at the ref, where Dakota Kai can get can take advantage of Raquel being distracted, and she hits her with EO hits her with the I'm sorry, I'm getting everybody confused. Kai's on the outside, EO's on the inside. She ends up hitting a big tornado DDT, and then the moonsault, I think it was. Maybe the tornado DDT was earlier in the match. There was so much going on in this match. Definitely worth a watch, which is also a very rare thing to say about a women's tag team title match. Definitely worth going back and watching again. So, champions retain, and freed up Shotzi to go host Halloween Havoc the next day.
Yeah, this was like you said at the beginning of that breakdown. This was a beautiful snapshot of about a year, maybe a year and a half ago's NXT Women's Division, which was absolutely untouchable. This was a good solid 10 minutes out of these ladies. But that ironically was not the main event of the evening. In the middle of the show, we had Liv Morgan and Sonya Deville. They went to a double count out because Liv was just enjoying bouncing Sonya's head off of the ring stairs and whatnot, and just ignored the 10 count. So that one ended in a double count out. We saw LA Knight, a little vignette where once again he reminded us he is not a babyface. He doesn't like any of us. He's a megastar, and it's his game. The Viking Raiders once again, where we believe Sarah's doing the talking. Valhalla awaits. The gods are preaching patience, so they're coming back at some point. And I think we're now less than 3 weeks away from the Usos breaking the New Day's tag record. And I would expect maybe this week the New Day gets involved and maybe, they have to fight, but I don't think they get the job done. Let me put it to both of you gentlemen. I've been sitting here waiting for the Viking Raiders to come back and just start just destroying people. We got a quick little look at that, and then they kind of pulled them away again to start doing these vignettes with the female voice and this, that, and the other thing. Do you think they're the ones who come back to take those unified tag titles, or do you think that the Usos break this record and carry through to Survivor Series or maybe even through to the Rumble, what have you? Do you think they continue right alongside Roman to just be untouchable? John Smith, well, how about you? What do you think?
Well, I mean, the Usos have been my favorite team for 5-6 years now, so I'll always sing their praises and think that they should be most reigns, longest reign, everything. I think they're better at what they do than Roman is at what he does. Honestly, I'm not putting Roman down at all, but I just think the Usos are just on another level compared to any other tag team in the world. So I think they deserve to be right alongside Roman, with the streaks and the records.
All right, Gary, how about you? Like I said, less than 3 weeks. Do you think they break the New Day's record?
I think they'll break it, and then the week after they'll do a wee bit of mouthing like how great they are. And it's the sort of thing you could easily make a tag team in one night. And not that obviously the Viking Raiders aren't brand new, but I think if all of a sudden they were to come back and almost like when they had 3-minute warning back in the day, who just come in and were beating everybody and blitzing through it, that you could do that if you had the Viking Raiders come in, just give them a kick and won the belt straight away. There would be a big pop. It would really get momentum behind them.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Yeah, well, I'm going to go back to saying what I said about the Universal and WWE title beforehand. There's no reason you have to keep these. You're starting to build a better tag division now. We don't need. There was a time where one set of tag champs would have been enough. You could probably legitimately keep 2 sets of tag champs. Create some storylines where they lose one set. I think they've had the SmackDowns for longer, whichever the case may be. Let them keep that one. Let them break the record. It goes along with this whole run that Roman's been on. Sure, let him pass that 483 days and whatnot, but get one set off of them. Well, let us see. You've got Hit Row now. You've got Legato. You got all these teams on top of the fact that you had a division that was low on numbers, but not low on skill. You could be writing interesting storylines for the tag division. You've just got one team clogging it all up. So get one set off of them. But to answer my own question, yes, I think they probably do break the record. All right. We had Rhonda. She's now gone full heel. She gave everything to the fans and she got nothing but hatred in return. And that's why she robbed us of an open challenge last week. But it looks like we're going to get one this week. Let's see what else. And then we had our actual main event. Early on in the show, Rey Mysterio crossed paths with Imperium. They told him about how he's absolutely doomed because in 2 weeks he's going up against Gunther. And Rey said, no, this is a brand new start for me. And in fact, let me show you guys how good I am. Our main event match of the evening was Rey Mysterio and Ludwig Kaiser. Say that 3 times fast. Gary, how'd that one turn out?
It was a great wee match. You had, obviously, with Kaiser in the ring, you had Gunther and Leonardo da Vinci on the outside, who were kind of waiting there and just keeping an eye on things. Kaiser got a takedown. Ray got a bit of stuff back. Tried for the 619 a few times, didn't get it. You had Vinci and Gunther doing a bit of distraction, but Ray hit them with a baseball slide. And then it has to be said, there's been an awful lot of mentions of, as we head towards home, there's been an awful lot of mentions of Eddie Guerrero on the TV shows recently. And you had Rey Mysterio pulling an Eddie Guerrero by pretending that he'd been hit by the steel chair, and you got Imperium ejected. And in the midst of everything in that, in the aftermath, as they got kicked out, Ray got in, hit a Hurricane Rana, hit the 619, and got the win.
Yeah. When the Eddie Guerrero's done right and not overdone, it brings a smile to my face every time, and it definitely worked last Friday. Okay, back to I totally botched this one. We talked earlier on about the match with the Brawling Brutes and well, Sheamus at least, and the Brutes outside, and how that turned into a 4-on-1 beatdown. They took Sheamus out. His buddies, Ridge Holland and Butch, this week are going to face the Bloodline faction of Sami Zayn and Solo Sikoa. Gary, how do you see that one working out?
I think that it's going to be Brawling Brutes. I think that Jey Uso is going to try and come out and show how he can help, and he'll do something wrong, and either or probably Sami Zayn will end up getting pinned. So I'm going to say the Brawling Brutes.
All righty, John Smith, how do you see this one?
Yeah, that sounds about right to me. I'll second that.
Yeah. Let's make it a sweep. I completely agree. Okay, and just for those of you who may not be necessarily paying attention, remember this week SmackDown is on FS1, and it's a very big deal because Roman Reigns is actually going to be in the building. So I think that pretty much does it for SmackDown, which unfortunately means that this is the end of our time with Mr. Gary Mehaffy for the week. Gary, thank you so much for joining us this week. We love having you around. We love the fact that you stay up late for us. So thanks once again, and thank you for helping me out personally.
Yeah, not a problem, gents. Have a good rest of the show. I'll see you soon.
All righty, sir.
Take care, Gary.
All righty. Now let me fix all this.
God, I hate that guy so much.
The feud that will never end. All right. You and I, John Smith, are going to roll into Raw. Okay, let's see where to start. You know what? Let's just go right to the main event. Why not? Bayley, in a non-title match, was taking on Bianca Belair again, and it kind of had the sense of, why are we even doing this if it isn't for the title? But it went almost 25 minutes, and we had something special happen. So, John, tell us all about it.
Yeah, it turned out that the story here wasn't either of these ladies. It was who came in to end the match. It was, like you said, almost a 25-minute match. They, just as good as what they've had before. Nothing special, but nothing bad. But then all of a sudden, somebody just comes flying off the top rope, a female, and this is when the ref was out of the ring at first, and it seemed like it was Nikki ASH, Nikki Cross. But you couldn't really tell, and they didn't put the camera back on her, and so she took out Bianca, and then Bayley gets the pin off of it. But then it ends up being Nikki Cross, and she comes back in the ring and starts beating the crap out of Bayley. And then she goes back to Bianca for a second just to make sure she's down, and then back to Bayley. And she was just beating the crap out of Bayley. And this is the Nikki Cross that we've been missing for how long has it been now since she left NXT? 5-6 years?
Something like that, yeah.
I mean, the match that she had with Asuka for the world title, that was either Falls Count Anywhere, or it was either Falls Count Anywhere or last woman standing.
Yeah, I remember the ladder spot and the announce table. I just like, oh, what a match that was.
Yeah, when the announce table was back in like the WCW area.
Yeah.
So yeah, Nikki Cross can freaking go. Nobody's really been able to see it for the past 6 years, and she is a psychopath when she wants to be. So I'm glad she got her last name back. She's, her brothers are right there on Monday Night Raw, it seems, carrying. But I'm assuming that's why she got her name taken away in the first place when he was first brought up. Probably. All of a sudden, she was Nikki ASH.
Yeah.
But yes, we can have two crosses. Like they have 2 pages and 2 whatever. Well, we got 2 Mysterios, of course.
Yeah, we got pages and yeah.
Cages and pages and gauges. Oh my.
Yeah. So welcome back, Crazy Nikki. We've missed you, and we're looking forward to good things.
Now bring back Sanity with you.
Yeah. Oh God, imagine
if we could get Eric Young and then some maybe new form of Sanity, maybe including the Viking Raiders. Viking Raiders, Nikki Cross, and Eric Young. That'd be sick.
I like it a lot. So that wrapped up the show. Kicking off the show, Judgment came out. Judgment Day came out. The Judgment Day. Damn it. We're going to have to do push-ups for that one. Everyone had a little bit of praise for Dom after his big win over AJ Styles that made all of us throw up last week. And then they gave Dom the mic. And Dom started putting himself over like what was the first quote was, "I'm this generation's Eddie No, Eddie Guerrero was that generation's Dominic Mysterio." Well, thank God the OC came out, because someone just needed to shut Dom up as he was digging himself deeper and deeper into a hole with the fans who already don't like him. Like, I get the feeling that he's not just getting booed for being a heel. He's getting booed because no one wants to see him in this spot. It just has that feel to it. And that all led to,
they say, oh, they got that go away heat. Like, but like, what other kind of heat is there? Honestly, like, I want to see you heat. Like, maybe I want to see you get your ass kicked.
Yeah, exactly. There's that.
I don't think that people would be opposed to seeing Dom get his ass kicked all over the arena.
Also very true. And I'm sure that's coming at some point, because hopefully this faction warfare is heading towards War Games. Let's hope. But this led into the match between Finn Balor and Karl Anderson. And those two had a really fun match for 18 and a half minutes. But, of course, it ended exactly the way you think it ended. Dom caused a distraction. Styles and Priest and Gallows all got at each other at ringside. Gallows even got a little too close to Rhea, and Rhea scoop slammed him right on the floor outside. And then Dom caused a distraction again that allowed Rhea to come in and jingle Karl Anderson's bells. And then all Balor had to do was hook the leg to get the 1, 2, 3. That led to a hilarious halfway through the show segment backstage where Anderson was in the trainer's office with an ice bag on his crotch. And AJ is saying, obviously they're setting up for whatever woman they're going to bring in, whether it's somebody new or somebody we already perhaps think. Our problem is Rhea. Rhea is the problem. Luke Gallows says, "I'm great with women. I'll go talk to her." He leaves. The next segment, he comes limping back in. Now he needs the ice bag on his balls. It didn't work out that well for him. So, John Smith, let me pose this question to you. Is it just going to be as easy as Beth Phoenix because they've already, messed with Edge and she's got a grudge against them? Or do we get someone new into the fold with the OC here, a female?
I don't think it's going to be Beth. That's a good idea, though. The only person that I thought of was Nikki. Like, they went and called up Nikki, and then she showed up, beat the crap out of some people just to show that she's back. And then next week, we're going to find out that the OC gave her a call. And, that's the only person I can think. I don't think that's going to be the case, but that's the only person that I can think of, unless it's somebody called up from NXT. I don't know.
Yeah, she'd work good there. I know this doesn't make much sense either, but because the whole thing of, the OC and the Bullet Club and everything coming from Japan, I almost wonder, and I think she might be Chinese. I wonder if it's going to be Wendy Chu. Like, are they going to give them an Asian woman so that Karl Anderson can start making jokes about his hot Asian wife again? And, are they going to give him someone from
maybe it's Asuka?
Oh, that would be that might be too much to ask for, but I love where your head is at.
Yeah, the OC with Asuka versus Judgment Day in War Games. How do you go wrong with that?
That would
put a lid on that thing.
Yes. We need to start repeating that every week now to put that in the ether and will it into reality.
Well, H is watching right now. Hunter's watching, so
that's true. I mean, come on, buddy. We're doing your booking for you here every week. We are getting to it here and helping you out. So we had a backstage segment where Candice LeRae was talking to Kathy Kelly. Hello, Kathy Kelly. And she got jumped by Bailey and Dakota and Io. We had Elias run into Riddle, and Elias said, "Hey, look, last week you interrupted me. Not a big fan of that. I'm gonna let it go because you're a good dude, but let's not have that happen again." And the minute he got through saying how much he did not like being interrupted, he was told to shoosh, and he got interrupted again by our guys Chad Gable, and that led to, and Otis, of course, but that led to a match later on in the card between Elias and Chad Gable. John Smith, tell us all about it.
Yeah, hell of a match it was, man. Like, I mean, I review a lot of Chad Gable matches, and he just puts on a clinic out there. Like right at the start, he faked a shot, and Elias ended up on his belly, and then he just took over from there and just started, just throwing him around here and there. How did everything break down at the end? I forget. Oh, at one point, Gable went for a moonsault, and Elias, for some reason, had his back to the same turnbuckle that he was standing on. And when he came down, Elias lifted that knee right into his face, and it was like it couldn't have been better if it was drawn by like an anime artist. Like it was just the most perfect move that I've seen in a long time, and it's just a testament to the way like the trust that Gable has in his like coworker, I guess, to just like, okay, I'm gonna come straight down into your knee, don't kill me, and it was freaking perfect. Elias ended up hitting his half suplex into a spinning neck breaker type maneuver for the victory, and then Otis gets involved. He plows over Elias right after the 3 count. Then Riddle's music hits. He comes down on the scooter and saves the day. And they're standing tall after the fact.
And something tells me we're going to get a tag team match next week.
With The Undertaker?
Wouldn't that be special? So that's how that one worked out. We had Omos taking care of not 2 but 4 inactions this week. So that was just super, and the crowd was on their feet for it. We had Austin Theory taking on Mustafa Ali, coming out of last week when Ali got involved in the Rollins in Rollins's face and this, that, and the other. Well, Rollins came out wearing an outfit that looked like he borrowed it from Becky's closet, and he hung out at ringside, or not at ringside, with the announce team, just cackling the whole way through this 12.5-minute match. But in the end, he got up on the apron to distract when Ali was climbing for a 450. Austin Theory was able to pull him down into a fireman's carry, and that's the perfect setup for a town down. And Austin Theory gets the win. He gets a selfie. He gets a pat on the back from Rollins, and he leaves. Rollins then starts tossing Ali around out of the ring, then around into the timekeeper's area, and then he thinks he's done with him. He didn't do any real damage to him. He just tossed him around. But by the time Rollins got back up to the Titantron, Ali jumped him, and they came to blows there, and then they got pulled apart. So look for Ali to get that U.S. title match that he's been asking for out of anger, not necessarily out of the fact that Seth wants to grant him that match. What else did we have? Oh, and we had the match that it's less than 3 minutes, so it's not worth breaking down much, but I know that it entertained you as much as it did me. We had Miz and Johnny Gargano talking backstage. Then we had Miz and Johnny Gargano talking in the ring. And Johnny keeps trying to get to the truth of what has gone on in the past or is going on now between Miz and Dexter, because Miz said it's because Dexter's jealous that I took Ciampa under my wing instead of him. Johnny knows that it's something else, and next week he's going to, if Miz doesn't tell the truth, he's going to let it all hang out. Well, they referenced the truth enough times that R-Truth came out, and there was a quick match between R-Truth and the Miz. I love when even in a small match like this, they can have good psychology in it, because Miz gets distracted by what looks like Loomis in the front row. Black hoodie, black gloves on, hood pulled up over. He's not paying attention. He gets rolled up by R-Truth. Cha-ching! Raw roll up, and that one will be special. We'll talk about that one at the end of the night. But we get the Truth beating the Miz, and it turns out that the man in the front row with the hoodie on is Johnny Gargano. So Miz and Gargano, eventually there's going to be more between the two of them because they just keep pissing each other off back and forth. And I believe it's next week, Gargano said, that if Miz doesn't finally tell the truth, Johnny's going to spill the beans. So take that for what it's worth. And then we had we had JBL coming out and getting as cheap a heel heat as you can get by insulting the local crowd, and then telling us that Baron Corbin is the new wrestling god. And then Corbin took on Gargano because they crossed paths backstage, and Corbin didn't say a word. Gargano had words with JBL, and it led to Corbin facing Gargano, and it was a good match back and forth for a little more than, it was almost 16 minutes. I forgot. I thought that was more like a 10-minute match. They had a really good match, and in the end, JBL caused a distraction after Gargano stole his hat, and JBL swept his legs off the ropes, off the apron, I should say, and eventually he took the end of days, and the victory went to Baron Corbin, our new wrestling god. And that makes me sick even talking about it. What else we got? That's pretty much it. And we've got Brock Lesnar returns next week because, I guess we'll see something between him and Lashley because by the end of next week, we'll be headed towards Crown Jewel where those two are going to face each other. So that is it for Raw. Sorry for doing all that talking. I just didn't time it out right with which matches you were going to break down. So my apologies.
All good.
But let's jump into Impact. And right off the bat, in the main event, John Smith, you're going to tell us all about the Impact Tag Team Championship match.
Yeah, so we got the Kingdom from representing Honor No More going up against your first ever SmackDown Tag Team Champions, Heath Slater and Rhino. Or no, he's just Heath over here. That's some push-ups for me. Of course, the Kingdom has Maria Kanellis on their side. These two go at it for a good 10 minutes before then Honor No More tries to get involved, the rest of them, that is. The referee's holding them back, which distracts him enough to where Maria gets in the ring with like a sandwich bag full of salt, I guess, or flour, or but it was like a straight up sandwich bag, like the same kind I have in my drawer, with like the green zipper and everything.
Yeah,
the Impact's gonna impact, right? Can even be like a Crown Royal sack or something like that, like something Mr. Fuji would carry around. So her husband, Mike Bennett, is holding back Rhino, and she throws the flour or salt, and he moves out of the way, and so she hits her husband by mistake. Then her and the partner, what's his partner's name? I'm sorry,
Matt Taven.
Taven is they're tending to him, and all of a sudden here comes Rhino for the gore. Taven moves out of the way. Maria gets gored out of the ring. Then we end up getting a zigzag looking move from Heath.
The wake-up call.
Why would you steal that move of all things? Dolph Ziggler's finisher. Like he does do it better than Dolph. I'll be honest. He actually kind of sides with the guy, so it looks like it's kind of like a Russian leg sweep at the end, instead of Dolph being all like the whole way down to the ground. But we get the 1, 2, 3 and brand new Impact Tag Team Champions about 2 years too late, because this was supposed to happen like right off the bat when the two of them came back in.
Exactly.
Yeah, then Eddie Edwards comes out and starts talking crap to everybody, but I don't remember exactly what happened there. So if you don't mind.
Yeah, so Heath and Rhino went backstage to celebrate with saltines and spray cheese. And Eddie came out to basically earlier in the night. He was missing last week, and everyone was like, where the hell is he? He's our leader. earlier in the night, he showed up and went, Alicia gave me an ultimatum. Either, Honor No More's got to end or our marriage is going to end. So we're going to talk about this later. So he comes out at the end of this and says, is Honor No More even worth saving? Am I crazy for even thinking about putting my marriage on the line when all I see is failure? Kenny King, you failed to get it done in the X division. The Kingdom just lost the tag titles. And then he makes the mistake of finally pushing the breaking point. He turns back to PCO, who had done nothing wrong on the evening. And, he hasn't won a lot of matches, but there was no gold on the line. And he just starts going at PCO again. He'd finally had enough. PCO loses his mind, and the show closes with him beating the hell out of everyone.
Yeah, now I remember.
So we know the Kingdom's already gone. They're over in AEW. Obviously Honor No More is essentially coming to an end, but it'll be interesting to see, does PCO face Eddie for the rights to it or something like that? There's obviously going to be more there, and it's been bubbling underneath for a while now, and we're going to get to it. So that was the end of the show. The show began with Chris Bay and Juice Robinson backstage. They were all excited. They knew they were kicking off the show. The Bullet Club was going to face the team of Bully Ray and Tommy Dreamer, but Juice is kind of just there to be the hype man. It was supposed to be Bay and Ace Austin, but they can't find Ace Austin. When they do find him, he's out cold in the parking lot. And because the theme of the past 2 weeks has been Bully Ray is the world's biggest scumbag, everyone assumes it was Bully Ray who did it. He swears he didn't. They have their match, Tommy and Bully versus Chris Bay and Juice, because Ace is in no form to compete. Juice winds up taking the Bully bomb for the 1, 2, 3. Afterwards, Dreamer and Bully are backstage, and Dreamer once again reiterates, like, please, man, don't make an ass out of me. I'm standing up for you. Look me in the eyes and tell me it wasn't you who did it. And he said, I swear to God, it wasn't me who did it. Moose comes in and reminds us all what a scumbag Bully Ray is. And that's okay because Moose is a scumbag too. And he's patterned his career after Bully Ray. So that's going to be interesting somewhere down the line. This leads us to a pick for this week in a match that there's absolutely nothing going to come out of who wins and who loses, even though we are about to pick it. It's just going to extend the storyline. Chris Bay is facing Tommy Dreamer now 1-on-1. John Smith, how do you see that one working out?
Oh boy. I guess I'm gonna go with Chris Bay. I mean, why does Tommy need to win this match? I don't know. I don't know what they're actually doing with the storyline, so I can't really predict what the hell's gonna happen with this match,
Exactly. Yeah, I'm right there with you. I think if we get a clean finish, it would almost be a shame for Dreamer to win. So I'm going to agree with you and say we get Chris Bay winning here. But I think this is all about something that's going to happen after the match, whether Bully Ray tries to get involved or it just winds up in an all-out brawl afterwards. It's got to be more than about this match because this match does nothing for anybody. In addition, we had a match last week between Taylor Wilde and Mia Yim. Taylor Wilde would get this match went way too damn long. This was almost a 15-minute match, and there was no chemistry between these two ladies. I hate to say it. I hate to feel like I'm picking on the women's division, but wow, this match was not stellar. But it was more about what happened after the match because Mickie James came out to talk to Taylor Wilde. She said, we keep missing each other throughout our whole careers. I think you would be the first or the perfect person to be the next stop on my last rodeo. So, yeah, they're going to get to that. And then Deanna and Chelsea and Giselle came out, attacked the two of them because by this time Mia Yim had pieced out. Jordan came down for the save. And eventually what we're going to get is this week, we're going to pick it. It's going to be, let me get all the names right. It's Jordan Grace, it's Mickie James, and Taylor Wilde as a three-woman team going up against Vexed, Deanna and Chelsea, and Giselle Shaw. 6-woman tag. How do you see it working out, John?
I'm gonna go with Mickey's team. Shows some like chemistry and camaraderie between her and Taylor. Before they end up, inevitably like hitting each other by mistake in the next couple weeks, and then having their match eventually. I just want to know, how do I get myself on the list of next stop on the rodeo? No.
If there's an application fee, I'm willing to pay it. Yes, I'm right there with you. Next up, we had the guy that I just don't understand, Joe Hendry taking on Jason Hodge. I think both of these guys are from their version of the Performance Center, and God love the crowd in, where was this one? This was taped in Albany. The crowd in Albany is so behind this guy. I don't know if they were paid on their way in, but they were singing his theme song before and after the show, before and after the match. It was a sub 2-minute match, and they found time in the middle of the match to chant, "We believe, we believe." So they are all on board with Joe Hendry, who did beat Jason Hodge with a one-arm spine buster, which you usually see from a bigger guy with more power, but he pulled it off well. That's going to lead us to this week, where Joe Hendry looks to, what are they calling it? He looks to motivate Raj Singh. And by motivate, I guess they mean beat, because these two are facing each other. So let's make the pick, Joe Hendry and Raj Singh. How do you see that coming to pass?
I believe in Joe Hendry.
That's a pretty smart way to go. I think there's no reason not to believe in Joe Hendry just yet. Yeah,
feels very. This whole thing feels very NXT to me for some reason. The whole Joe Hendry thing. I don't know why.
Yeah, maybe it was because the vignettes were so terrible. Like those vignettes were, those were first ballot Hall of Fame of WTF. Why are we doing this, and what is happening here? Like. In one of them, I think he impregnated, and we didn't know any of the other players in the vignettes either, so there was no reason to be connected to them. In one, he knocked up some broad, and her husband was there. Well, as soon as they started singing "I Believe in Joe Hendry," he was okay with the fact that his wife was pregnant by another man. Somebody else's father died. They were in the hospital bed as their father died, and like they made no sense. It was just, let's get to the song at the end of it.
Impact's gonna impact.
Exactly. That is absolutely impacting. What else happened in this match? Okay, we had Scott D'Amore come out and introduce Frankie Kazarian. He gave Frankie one more chance to think about it, because Frankie had already talked about he wanted to go option C because he wanted a world title shot. Scotty reminded him that there's no going back on this. You're surrendered. As soon as you hand me that title belt, you've got your match. You're no longer the X Division champion for the 5th time here. Kazarian says it sickens him that he's never won the big one. He absolutely is 100% all in. So that is our Overdrive Impact Plus, November 18th in Louisville, Kentucky. That is our main event. So far, all we know about that card is that it's taking place in Louisville. The main event is Josh defending the world title against Frankie. And coming out of this same segment, the X Division Championship tournament. We're having a little mini tournament. We love tournaments here. That is breaking down, and the finals will take place at Overdrive. So Scott laid out the brackets. It is Black Taurus versus Laredo Kid on the left-hand side of the bracket. On the left-hand side on the bottom is Yuya Uemura versus PJ Black, who we haven't seen, at least I haven't seen in the States in a long time.
Who's that? Would I know him from anywhere else?
Yeah, what the hell is his name? He was a WWE guy.
Yeah, I'll look him up. You keep going.
All right. Yeah, and then the right hand of the bracket up at the top is Alan Angels and Trey Miguel, and the bottom part of the bracket is Kenny King and most recent champ Mike Bailey.
Oh, Justin Gabriel.
Yeah, there you go.
He was part of the Nexus and everything.
Uh-huh. So yeah, there's a guy that's he's been around for a scary long time. So this week we're going to kick off with two of those matches, the upper half of both brackets. We've got Tourouse and Laredo Kid, Allen Angels, and Trey Miguel. Let's throw the first one at you. Black Tourouse and Laredo Kid tonight, or excuse me, Thursday night. Who do you got in this one?
This is tough. I don't know. Black Tourouse was pretty unbeatable when he first came in, but he's kind of come back down to earth. They pushed the Laredo Kid a lot. My first thought was Tourouse, but I'm going to go with Laredo Kid.
Yeah, I think I'm going to agree with you. Like, I mean, Tourouse just, he got a new nickname for his finishing move and everything, so it feels like he's the one getting a push. But, like, Laredo Kid has been around now for a while, and I'm sure he got a title shot, that was probably on an episode that was very forgettable, but he hasn't had a big shot, and he hasn't made a huge impact in this division. And I think it would be good to see him move forward in this one. And let's see who's on that bottom half of the bracket: PJ Black and Yui Moore. So either one of those. I mean, there's no bad matches in this the way it lines up, but I'd love to see Laredo Kid against one of those guys, Yui Moore or PJ Black. On the other half of the bracket, we've got former Dark Order member Allen Angels facing Trey Miguel. How do you see that one working out?
I don't think that the Angels comes in and beats one of Impact's like mainstay top guys. So I'm going to go with Trey Miguel on this one.
Yeah, I completely agree with you because it's just I don't think we've gotten have we gotten Trey Miguel and Mike Bailey yet? Maybe very early in Bailey's run, but I think that's just too delicious in the semifinals there. So yeah, I'm going to agree with you that Trey Miguel gets that done, and then I'm sure we'll see that the other half of the bracket next week. What else do we have here? Did we break them all down? Yeah, I think we broke them all down there. I missed a match. We had Rich Swann against Eric Young. Swann, the EY was setting up for a pile driver. Swann rolled under and hit him with a raw roll up for the victory. This is where this one gets weird. As we were talking about before, when we were talking about the schism, they've got the idiot walking around in the red hoodie. EY and Violent by Design has idiots walking around in yellow hoodies. At some point in time, we're going to either find out that either it's someone whose name we're going to come to know, or, it's someone who's going to be added to this roster, or maybe it's someone we already know. EY's already got Diener. He's got as many of these guys in the yellow hoodies as he wants, so he can be building a stable here. At the end of this match, Diener, Swann rolled out like, you win with a roll up. You just kind of say like, "Whoo, I got through that," and he rolled out like he was getting out of there. Diener threw him back in, and one of the guys in the yellow hoodie held him so that Diener could throw him back in, and it started a beat down. The lights went out. Sami Callihan showed up. And as I was just saying, Violent by Design is a group. Whether obviously Joe's going to be gone for a while, and God bless him. We hope to see him back as soon as possible. But they're filling in with these guys in the yellow hoodies. It's going to be a group. I don't understand the idea of putting them up against Sami Callihan because there's no more of a lone wolf in that company than him. Nobody likes Sami Callihan, and Sami Callihan doesn't like anybody. So I don't know where that one's going. Maybe Sami Callihan's going to get some friends in the next week. What do you think, John?
Could he? Is there anybody that he could be friends with in the next week? I don't know. Maybe if Moore just like collapses completely, maybe like Eddie comes crawling to him in some way.
And I'm kind of in the back of my head, like again, I don't see them forming a long-term alliance, but Sami, I think, is engaged to Jessica, so maybe he pulls in Tourouse and Crazy Steve from Decay, but again, I don't see that being a long-term, plan, but maybe he does it for one match or whatever. But anyway, just putting that little nugget in your brains, everyone, to make you think about something's coming down the line there. Right now, you've got Sami, who's going up against a group that only, is likely to get bigger in the foreseeable future. He's already outnumbered 2-1 right now, and they're likely to get bigger. All right. that's enough of me talk. Well, unfortunately, I got to talk a lot more. But that's enough on Impact. Now we're going to go to AEW Dynamite, who had a very big week last week with a lot of titles on the line. And unfortunately, the one that everyone was waiting for the most was the world title. Jon Moxley, in his hometown of Cincinnati, was taking on Hangman Adam Page. And even though we know MJF is looming, everyone was very much excited for this. I was very much excited for this. And unfortunately, it only went 12 minutes when Mox hit that King Kong lariat that turned Hangman inside out. And he had a weird fall. He seemed to land like nose first, like just flat on his face. The referee immediately came in and kind of, warned Moxley off. They rang the bell, doctor stoppage, Mox retained. And it got a little scary because in the moment, Mox is talking about, the camera, they got Hangman off to the side. They gave Mox the mic to get to what they needed to get to. And that was, MJF was going to come out and they were going to have words. MJF teased coming down to cash in the big stupid poker chip. And then said, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do that when you're not just 100. I want you at 110%. So now we have our main event for Full Gear. That's going to be Mox and MJF. But the weirdness was that before MJF came out, Mox had the mic and he was saying he already was on to, I hope Hangman fully recovers and can, can hold his kid again. And we started worrying that it was like a spinal injury or something like that. By the next day, Hangman was on, thank God, was on social media saying it's a concussion. I'm feeling pretty good. So, okay, we'll roll through that. So then they did one of their little digital exclusives. And Moxley said, once again, now he's leaning. Now that we know that Hangman's okay, he can lean into, how dangerous it is to fight Moxley because sometimes you leave on a stretcher and blah, 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 blah. And I want to keep rolling. I want to pick up right where I left off last week. And I need somebody who doesn't fear stepping in the ring with Jon Moxley. And, he doesn't understand a lot of words in English, but he heard fear. And who got in his face? But your best friend, Penta. And that one's coming this week. We get Moxley versus Penta, presumably for the world title. So what do you see happening there?
Yeah, he earned it, right?
He is. Well, apparently he earned it with his match in AAA because apparently he had an amazing match in AAA last week or 2 weeks ago.
Okay, well, is he at the top of the rankings that mean so much and records that mean so much in AEW?
That's a damn good question. I did not check them out, but considering he doesn't ever fight singles, I'm guessing not.
Spoiler alert, the answer is no. I didn't even look. I know for a fact Penta is not number one contender, but there's no way he beats Mox. It'll be an awesome freaking match, though. Yes. That's a must watch. Anytime Penta can go out there and shine on his own because he gets lost in some of these matches with the triangle, with the death triangle.
Absolutely. Oh yeah, so I agree with you there. I don't see Mox losing the title. Certainly not this early when we've already got him booked in a main event for the next pay-per-view. So speaking of the death triangle, that match kicked off Dynamite last week. Why don't you tell us whether or not they retained their trios titles?
Yeah, Death Triangle took on the best friends, Trent and Orange Cassidy, and what's the third guy's name?
Chucky Taylor.
Oh yeah, Fat AJ Styles. Is it his mom that drives them in the minivan, or is it Trent's mom?
All I know is her name is Sue.
I don't know.
You don't want to break Sue's rules,
right? So yeah, this match went quite a while, actually. Good like 15 minutes or so. The Death Triangle got the upper hand right off the bat and ended up doing the three of them coordinated a bounce off the ropes, and they all jumped off over the ropes at the same time until all three of the best friends on the outside. I think that was like right before commercial break. Very WWE of them. This match was basically broken down the entire time. Just everybody going on everybody. No counting by the referee, because why would we do that? And car crash aside, it actually worked out pretty well. Guys seemed to sell for the appropriate amount of time, except for at the end when Ray Phoenix got taken out with that sit down backwards pile driver by Trent, while the other one comes off the top rope and like just pushes him down for momentum. About 30 seconds later, Penta was hitting a Rikishi bomb on I believe Trent for the 1-2-3 right after he had taken that move. But besides that, nothing bad I could say about this match, and the champs retain here.
Yeah, Death Triangle. I mean, if you can find a bad Death Triangle match, let me know, because I haven't seen one yet.
Right.
Okay. So now we had a weird circumstance. The main event for Rampage. It wasn't necessarily even supposed to be the main event. It was supposed to be Preston Vance, number 10 from the Dark Order, versus Roosh, which was kind of their last minute pivot, because Preston Vance was supposed to face Andrade several weeks ago. Andrade got himself sent home for being a bad boy backstage, whatever. So we were supposed to have this one-on-one, and I guess there was not enough juice in it. So they did, once again, a little digital exclusive where the two of them were talking to each other in that bar that the Hangman used to frequent when he was part of the Elite. That's somewhere, because this was in Jacksonville, somewhere in in Daly's place there. And Orange Cassidy just pops up from behind the bar. And he's got his backpack, which of course is how he carries around his title belt, unlike any other wrestler who's ever wrestled. And they, Roosh pivots from Vance. The storyline originally, I think, was Andrade wanted Vance's mask, and they wanted him in the AFO with him. Now Roosh is barely paying attention to Vance. He wants the title. Orange Cassidy says, "Yeah, we can do that. I'll fight both of you at the same time. Let's have a three-way match for the All Atlantic Championship," and that headlined the Rampage card for the week. It was a good match back and forth for almost 12 minutes, where everybody got their stuff in, and we had some good, tried to pull the mask off of Vance, and he's a big dude, so he got a couple of his big power moves in, and it ended with Orange Cassidy getting, who was it? Was it 10? Yeah, he gets 10 up for the beach break, which we were talking about. That's like that backpack pile driver craziness.
Yeah.
And Vance escapes, so now he's underneath, so presumably a roll-up is coming. Well, Orange Cassidy reaches back, grabs both legs, puts his hands in his pocket, and he scores the roll-up win, and Roosh doesn't even get involved in the finish. So Orange Cassidy retains the All-Atlantic Championship. Next, we had Rampage kicking off with the Tag Team Championships. This was the Acclaimed and the Varsity Athletes. That's the team of Tony Nese and Josh the Goods Woods. John Smith, why don't you tell us how this one broke down?
Not to be confused with the Varsity Blondes,
who could no longer use that name because of this team.
Right? Why would they go have two varsity tag team names so close together? I don't know. So smart Mark Sterling comes out and makes sure that we all remember that he has a patent on scissoring in the realm of wrestling. So the Acclaimed were about to scissor each other, and they weren't allowed to. Then Nese and Woods, after they had a high point in the beginning of the match, they hyped each other up and then scissored and got booed, and it was the whole thing. About halfway through the match, Woods pulled an Eddie Guerrero and got daddy ass banned from ringside by the referee because the ref thought that he hit him. Which was just fine, because the Acclaim could get things done by themselves, and that they did. And they were able to Daddy Ass came back out after the match was over, grabbed the contract from Smart Mark Sterling, who was about to say, you know what, you won, but I still have this contract. But no, he doesn't anymore because Billy Gunn ripped that thing up. And then we get a triple scissor in the middle of the ring.
Yes, and the Acclaimed made good on their promise to stomp on Mark Sterling's nuts. So that's very important in the world of AEW.
Yeah, many times in tandem.
Yeah. All right. Also on Rampage, we had Jade Cargill, who got her TBS championship belt stolen by I almost called her Nia Jax, by Nyla Rose. And she pulled the power move of, I'm going to hold the whole show hostage, but they talked to her beforehand and they calmed her down a little bit, and in fact she lent them Layla Gray, because Penelope Ford got hurt. She was supposed to face Willow Nightingale, so Layla subbed in at Jade Cargill's behest, with the promise that Jade would get her hands on Nyla or just get her title back. That was all she really wanted. So Willow beats Layla Gray, and there's a nice moment afterwards because Willow gets an official contract. She's officially All Elite. But Jade shows up afterwards, and she's like, all right, where's my belt? I told you guys I was going to take the show hostage. She pulls the move. She puts the chair down, and she sits down in the middle of the ring. Well, then Nyla shows up on the Tron. And not only is she not planning on giving the belt back, she has hijacked Jade's car and stolen it. She drives away in it. Now Jade is double pissed. So look for that to bubble over sometime soon. Also on the card, we had Hook choking out Ari Daivari. This one went 2 minutes and 47 seconds, which is about 2 minutes longer than I thought it would. We had Ortiz backstage with Marvez and the Lucha Bros and Alex Abrahantes. Everyone's trying to talk Eddie Kingston into stop blowing up his career because he keeps almost getting himself fired. And Pac walks by because obviously he's buddies with the Lucha Bros and kind of like puts in his 2 cents. Eddie doesn't like that, so maybe we get them coming up. Not sure as it stands right now. Jumping back because AEW Dynamite, AEW is just, it's such a mess in terms of how you're going to talk about it and what leads to what next week and whatnot. Jumping back to Dynamite, we had Toni Storm retaining the interim women's title over Hikaru Shida, who last week was her tag partner. They're still good friends, apparently. Hayter and Rebel and Britt Baker all come down to jump Toni Storm afterwards, jump Toni Storm and Hikaru Shida afterwards. Saraya comes out to help out, but she turns out not to be enough. So we see the return of Riho, who helps all the good gals out, and they eventually clear the ring. That rolls us into this coming week, where Riho returning to in-ring action against Jamie Hayter. Who do you like in this one, John Smith?
It's a return match, so you got to go with Riho here.
Yeah, it's almost a shame, too, because Hayter seems to be getting a little bit of a roll going, and I hate to see her take a loss. Like, I almost wish she was facing Rebel. Because Britt's not eating a loss anytime soon, and I feel bad for Hayter because I don't want to see her take one, but I think you're absolutely correct. Let's see. What else did we have? We had Wardlow and Samoa Joe, who don't appreciate being disrespected by the Kingdom, and something bad's going to happen. I think Joe's quote was, you got 6 million ways to die, and you still chose the wrong one by screwing with us. So big things coming for OGK, and those big things are Wardlow and Samoa Joe. You had FTR backstage with Renee Paquette. They love being the triple champs, but they're just never going to feel right until they have those AEW titles back. They've been the number one contenders in the tag division for a while, so they want to book that title match. Well, Swerve and Our Glory, who aren't necessarily getting along with one another, but still feel like they're owed a rematch, they don't like the idea of them jumping the line. So we're going to have a number one contender match this week. It's FTR versus Swerve and Our Glory for the AEW tag title number one contender spot. John Smith, what say you?
I'm gonna go with FTR here because they got a whole bunch of belts, but they don't have the ones that matter the most to them. So I'm gonna say that they're lining themselves up to try to make that happen.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So the belts right now are on the Acclaimed, who are as over as faces as you can get. How do you get them off them to FTR? Maybe you don't. You know what? Maybe someone costs FTR the match, and that sets them up to defend one of the other 8 sets of belts that they have. So yeah, I think FTR will take this one. I agree with you, sir. Let's see. We had a backstage sit down with Renee Paquette, this time with Bryan Danielson, and I almost messed up his name again, and Wheeler Yuta. Danielson is still talking about Daniel Garcia, which is driving Wheeler Yuta nuts, sitting right next to him. So Yuta just walks out on the interview. It didn't directly lead to this, but we're going to put it in this spot anyway because Bryan Danielson's going to fight this week. He's got to fight with Sammy Guevara. John Smith, who do you see coming out of this one? Bryan Danielson and Sammy Guevara.
I don't see how Sammy could win. I don't know who's going to interfere on his behalf, so I'm going with the yes man.
Yes, yeah, I have to. I mean, unless at some point Wheeler Yuta turns on Danielson, but I don't know. I feel like Danielson's working his way out of the Blackpool Combat Club, but I don't know. Is it going to lead to him turning heel? I don't know. But yeah, in terms of this one, at least, I think Danielson will get the job done against Sammy. And that leads us to the second biggest title match of last week, which was Chris Jericho defending the Ring of Honor World Championship against the very special and flamboyant Dalton Castle. For a change, Jericho actually tried to uphold the what do they call it? The Code of Honor. He offered his hand for a shake. Dalton Castle searched around in his trunks, and I mean deep in his trunks, and what he found in there for Chris Jericho was a bird. So this one did not start with the Code of Honor being upheld. They went at it. It went almost 12 and a half minutes. Jake Hager wound up beating the hell out of Dalton Castle's The Boys outside. Aubrey took a bump, the ref. But
go figure.
So what's that?
Because go figure. Aubrey had to get involved.
Yeah, because it's always got to be all about her.
She's just trying to tell a story.
Jericho kicks out of the bangarang that is Castle's finisher, and it was an awkward finish because it was a good match back and forth. There was plenty of everything you want there, and then just out of nowhere, boom, Judas Effect 1, 2, 3. Jericho retains. He celebrates with the Jericho Appreciation Society at the top of the ramp, and then sends your boys 2.0 over to grab Ian Riccaboni because he's going to, poop on Ring of Honor in every way, shape, and form he can. And the way he decided to do it this week was he was going to beat the hell out of Ian Riccaboni after he's already taken shots at Bobby Cruz, the ring announcer. So Parker and Menard, as they're now called, go over and grab Riccaboni, and Jericho's lining him up to, blast him with the belt. Jerry Lynn comes out from backstage, former Ring of Honor champion Jerry Lynn, and tries to stop it. He winds up getting tombstoned by Jericho on the Ring of Honor title. I hope that's just Jericho checking off one more former Ring of Honor champion. I hope it doesn't bring him out of retirement because I love Jerry Lynn, but I want to remember him as putting on some of the greatest freaking matches I've ever seen with Rob Van Dam and ECW. I don't want to see a 50-year-old Jerry Lynn and a 50-year-old Chris Jericho.
And he could never get the job done against RVD either. They must have wrestled 500 times between house shows and TV, and he never beat him once.
Exactly. That summer, I have a 3 DVD set of just bootleg copies of all those matches from that summer or that total calendar year. They must have fought 30 times, and Jerry Lynn did not win one, unless maybe he pinned somebody else in a tag match that RVD was involved in, because RVD's shoulders did not touch the mat.
Exactly.
So anyway, back to Jericho and that whole rigmarole. The last match we're going to pick for the week is a tag team match where Jericho and his returning protege, Daniel Garcia, are going to face, once again, the Blackpool Combat Club. This time it is the team of Claudio Castagnoli and Wheeler Yuta. John Smith, how do you see this one working out?
I'm going to go with Claudio getting some revenge on Jericho for taking that belt off him so quickly.
Yeah, I don't know what the storyline is with Jericho. Like, I know they're setting up for, I guess, whoever's going to be that big Ring of Honor champion and roll forward with the hopefully relaunch of that company, as opposed to just doing 2 or 3 pay-per-views throughout the year. But I don't know how they get there. So I'll say you're right, and maybe this leads us to Claudio and Jericho rolling it back again, because we already know we have Ring of Honor Final Battle taking place on December 10th, which, ironically, WWE decided to be dicks and counterbook. That is when we're going to get NXT Deadline. So there was, they canceled the idea for, what the hell was it called? Day One on January 1st. So all us fans in the universe were looking at the fact that there was nothing between Survivor Series and the Rumble. So, what the hell were they going to do? Well, apparently this is what screwed me out of my picks, because I said, there's nothing left for these champs to do in NXT. Let them lose the belts now and head up to the main roster. Then they can make an impact by the Rumble, blah, blah, blah. Well, no, we're going to get one more NXT show before the end of the year. It's going to be on December 10th, head to head with Ring of Honor's Final Battle. Okay.
And that's going to be on what, a Saturday or a Friday?
That is a Saturday, December the 10th.
And are they going to be airing at the same exact time?
I don't know if the times are official right now. But, that's one of those things that just hasn't been part of the graphic yet. But
right,
my guess is that AEW or Tony Khan will blink and say, all right, we'll go on at 3:00 in the afternoon, because we already know we got a niche audience and they're going to follow us wherever we are. So we don't have to be in prime time. So, but if they do go head to head, that will be very interesting to see. There's no buy rate involved because it's Peacock versus an actual pay-per-view, so I would imagine Peacock would blow them out of the water in terms of numbers. If you can
that's what I'm thinking. I think Tony Khan would definitely be smart to make sure they're not actually running head to head.
Yeah, absolutely. But so they continue. We had a return to the Wednesday Night Wars last week, even though it was on Tuesday. They continue to kind of spar with each other. Just throw a little jab every once in a while. Oh, goodness gracious. All right, sir. We pretty much
made it.
We have made it through. I managed not to get kicked offline and destroy the show for the second week in a row. So I think this is where we pull in that rockin' music. Here are the Raw roll-ups for the week. Just remember, at the start of the week, they look like this, with AEW with a 6 roll-up lead. You know what? I did lose this one. I forgot to show how I have slipped out of second place. How Karl was able to jump over top of me, but we're all still trailing Ryan Roy.
And I should have gotten 46 points, but I was a moron and picked the freaking cash in.
Oh, yeah, wow. You were 4-2, and you got the championship. You got both of the championships right?
Yes, sir.
Oh, wow. Okay. Good for you. Yeah, that's why you are the guru. Let's see. And that puts us, here's our standalone standings. Yeah, wow. Beavis still in third place, even though he had a horrible Havoc. Now, here are the roll-ups for this week, as we talked about earlier in the show. And here are the totals, but more importantly, it's still a 6 roll-up lead for AEW, but more importantly, these ones haven't changed all that much. But The Miz, who's been in a dead tie with Tamina, who hasn't been on TV in forever, The Miz getting rolled up by R-Truth let him stand alone where he belongs at the top of the loser roll-up bracket.
Loser.
All right, let's get into paying the bills. The Primetime Rundown is back, and it's in its usual day and time. Join Joey Jerzenka, Ian Schreier, and Mike Szabo as they return to Friday nights at 7 p.m. Eastern Time with everything you need to know in the world of sports. And let's take a peek. Oh, yeah, let's take a peek at this misery. How we did in our head-to-head with the Primetime Rundown.
Oh, boy.
Not good is how I would put that, although, Mr. Smith, thank you for carrying us there.
I got one right week one, and then that's fine.
Yeah, it's starting to get ugly. I mean, we're 4 behind in the win, but we're 7 ahead in the loss. So, yikes!
Yikes, indeed.
Oh God! All right. Do you have an interest in becoming a sports reporter? Would you want to be asking high-profile coaches and players questions in person? Are you a college student looking to break into the sports media industry and looking to write about your favorite team? The Eastern Observer is looking for interested candidates to join the family for college credits. Look no further. Aspiring writers, social media specialists, content creators, etc. You can inquire by emailing eosports3@gmail.com. We're looking forward to having you join the Eastern Observer family. And the Black Cats NYC. They are the official band of the Eastern Observer, and wherever you get your music, you can get their album, Free Cake. It's out now. Play loud. And as always, the Essential Wrestling Podcast is sponsored by Pro Wrestling Pickup, the internet leader in sports entertainment pick and pool. Join us in the EWP public pool, play against us, or create a private pool. Play with you and your friends. PWP.com, play against your friends, play against the universe. And we forgot to do the thumbs up this week. But regardless, she will like it too. Join us back here next week for episode 125 at 5 p.m. on all the same viewing options that you are consuming right now. And while you're here now watching and listening, please make sure you like this episode, subscribe to the Eastern Observer, and make sure you get your updates on all of our shows and news articles. Ladies and gentlemen, it is all about the algorithm. All right, that's going to do it for the week. Let me take this off. John Smith, you have we missed anything? You have anything you want to get off your chest? Let us hear it now, big man.
Anything I want to get off my chest?
Put your Jets over again.
Yeah, great. Yeah, JETS. We got a big mountain to climb, though. We got our star running back towards ACL. Our star offensive lineman is out for the year with a tricep. So, this wasn't an overall win for us this week because we lost 2 big players. But as far as wrestling is concerned, I want to know where the hell Tiffany Stratton's been. I mentioned her name earlier.
Yes.
And it made me think, why the hell has she not been on our TV? They didn't even write her off in any way with an injury last I checked. And I don't know, she had some pretty good momentum. So I'm interested to see if and when she comes back.
Yeah, and the funny thing is they brought that surfer girl, Sol Ruka or whatever her name is. She is a gymnast like the girl you were just talking about, whose name is Tiffany Stratton. Yeah, all right, thanks. She even did that, the head over heels into the corner, blah blah blah. I wonder if they don't make a tag team out of the two of them, since they have seemingly similar styles, even though they're gimmicks. One's a surfer and one's a rich bitch. But I wonder if they don't put those two together. That would make for an interesting team.
Yeah, I could see them actually putting them together, as opponents and enemies before they did that. Like, oh, what are you coming in here as that's my thing. I'm the gymnast.
There you go.
Hopefully they were just waiting until this batch of matches, like and Angles came to a conclusion at Halloween Havoc to get stuff started today with that, because I miss seeing Tiffany Stratton on my big 82-inch TV.
Yes, she was very entertaining to look at and very easy to hate, as much as she was lovely to look at. So I mean, that right there, that's a great character. That's, add a little bit of wrestling skill, and Vince McMahon can make you a world champion.
Exactly.
All right, so that pretty much does it for us. Let's hit the outros. Alexa Bliss, we love you. Larry Steve, always in our hearts. Isaiah Brookside, how did the EWP crew do this week in our football picks? Yeah, unfortunately. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, that's pretty much it. Thanks for joining us, and as always, we wish you the best in all your future endeavors.
Welcome back, Nikki Cross. Yeah.